The Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus is an 8-pedal power supply for guitar pedals. This power supply is designed to isolate the power output to each pedal, giving it as clean of a signal as possible. In this video, we'll take a look at the features of the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus, getting it set up with a pedal board, and we'll finish it off by comparing the amount of noise we get with this isolated power supply compared to a cheaper alternative using a regular single pedal power supply with a daisy chain cable attached. If you're interested in getting a Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus, check out our links to this power supply in the video description. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to catch all our new videos. When setting up a pedal board for electric guitar, powering all the pedals can be very difficult, but it's something we need to pay attention to in order to get the best quality results. There's two ways to do this. The cheap way is with a single power supply and a daisy chain cable that connects all the power inputs to the pedals together. The second way is with a dedicated power supply mounted to the pedal board that isolates every power output to the pedals, giving us a cleaner result. This is the kind of configuration we would get from the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus, and it really makes a huge difference in reducing the noise produced by the pedal board, as we'll see in the experiment later in this video. First, let's start with the features of this power supply. There are 8 isolated outputs for the pedals that provide clean power. This can prevent issues like ground loops and some interference that we get from chaining our pedals together. All the pedal outputs can be set to 9 volts, which is what most guitar pedals will use. However, there's also an option to set a few of them to 12 volts for pedals that require that, or an included cable to use 2 power outputs together to create an 18 volt output for those types of pedals. To switch to 12 volts, you would set the switch for that power output on the bottom of the power supply. 2 of the outputs offer 250 mA power to a pedal, since some pedals have a higher power draw. Your specific pedal's power draw might either be written on the pedal itself or found in the manufacturer's specifications. The power limitations for the milliamps are important to know about since we don't want to exceed the current draw for the power supply on any of the outputs. That means that we shouldn't be connecting multiple pedals to a single output with a daisy chain like we might do with a regular cheap wall power supply, since a lot of those power supplies are actually designed to allow more current. In some cases, some people have used daisy chains to power multiple pedals from the 250 mA outputs, but keep in mind that you lose some of the isolation that you were likely looking for by purchasing this type of power supply to begin with. The Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus power supply does have a metal bracket that's available to attach it to a pedal board. It's usually used for the pedal train pedal boards, which is what I have. To install it, you would need to screw the bracket onto the power supply and drill holes in the pedal board. Then you can secure it with screws. All the power outputs for the pedals are now underneath our pedal board, and we can use the included cables to power all the pedals. Next, I want to do an experiment testing the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus against a regular cheap single pedal power supply with a daisy chain attachment. I'm going to set up all the pedals in the same order with the same cables and guitar, then plug them directly into my Focusrite Scarlett 18i20 as a direct recording. We'll test this with all the pedals off and on and compare the overall noise levels. I'll make sure not to touch the preamp levels on the audio interface, and the interface will be set to instrument mode for all these recordings. The preamp level is set to about 1 o'clock to really boost the level. This is much higher than we would normally use to record a guitar at, but it should give us the best comparison for just the noise. The pedals I'm using are the Behringer Super Metal, Boss DS1 Distortion, Crybaby Wah, Dan Electro Chorus, and Behringer Digital Reverb, so there's a mix of different types of pedals here. All the controls for the pedals are set to 12 o'clock. I do have a guitar plugged in at the beginning, and it's a Gibson Les Paul Studio. I use this guitar for this test since it has humbucker pickups that don't produce noise. I didn't want the noise from the single coil pickups from the other guitars interfering with the results. Let's compare the results from the recordings of each of these setups now. The daisy chain configuration with the pedals off peaks at minus 16.7 decibels, whereas it's minus 58.5 decibels with the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus power supply. This is due to the isolation since the daisy chain setup has noise from a ground loop. This is actually a pretty interesting result that we're adding that much noise even when the pedals are all turned off. I wouldn't focus too much on the actual level of the noise since we're increasing the gain with the preamp to really make a comparison here, but more just look at the difference between the two configurations. Once we turn the pedals on, we get quite a bit more noise as they're all drawing power, but they're also boosting the signal since we're using some distortion and gain increasing pedals here. The non-isolated daisy chain setup brings the peak level up to minus 4.3 decibels on this recording, and the isolated setup with the Voodoo Lab power supply is at minus 18.2 decibels. So the Voodoo Lab power supply with all the pedals enabled is still quieter than the daisy chain setup with all the pedals turned off and no gain increase. This is actually a lot of noise difference here, and I was very surprised at how good the power supply did at cleaning up the signal. Overall, I'm very happy with the results of this power supply. It's very clear that the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus is providing a lot cleaner power to our pedals and preventing a lot of noise compared to the cheaper daisy chain setup. I think the daisy chain setup noise would be fairly unacceptable in most cases, especially running into a high gain amp. Of course, the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus probably costs about 10 times as much as a power supply with a daisy chain cable, so that's important to consider as well, but there's no doubt there's a big difference in noise and signal quality. Thanks for checking out this video on the Voodoo Lab Pedal Power 2 Plus power supply. If this video helped you out, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon to get notified whenever new videos are released. You can also check the video description for links to the power supply and social media accounts.